Welcome to Code Your English, the home to learn and grow fast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another powerful episode here at Code Your English. I am very happy that you are here with me today. If you are listening while walking, studying, traveling, or relaxing at home, thank you for giving me your time. In this podcast, we learn English together in a simple and practical way. We improve our listening, speaking, and also our thinking. Today's topic is powerful, simple, and life-changing. The topic is, attitude is everything. Let me start with a simple question. Why do two people react differently to the same problem? Imagine two students who fail an exam. One student becomes very angry and says, "I am not smart. I will never succeed." The other student feels sad too, but says, "Okay, I failed. I need to study better next time." The situation is the same. The result is the same, but the reaction is different. Why? The answer is attitude. So what is attitude? Attitude is the way we think and feel about something. It is how we look at a situation. It is how we respond when something good or bad happens. Attitude is not the problem itself. It is our reaction to the problem. It is not what happens to us. It is how we choose to see what happens. In simple words, attitude is our mental position. It is the voice inside our head that says, "I can do this," or "This is too hard." Attitude is very important because it affects everything in our life. It affects our decisions. It affects our actions. It affects our relationships. It even affects our success. If you have a negative attitude, small problems feel very big. But if you have a positive attitude, even big problems feel possible to solve. Your attitude can make you stronger or weaker. It can push you forward or hold you back. In daily life, attitude plays a role in many small situations. When the weather is bad, do you complain all day, or do you continue your work? When someone criticizes you, do you feel destroyed, or do you try to learn something from it? When you make a mistake in English, do you stop speaking, or do you say, "It's okay, I am learning"? These small reactions show your attitude, and these small reactions slowly create your future. Today in this episode, we are going to understand this idea deeply, but in a very simple way. We will talk about what attitude really means. We will explore why attitude is so powerful. We will learn how to improve our attitude step by step. And most importantly, we will see how attitude can change your life, especially in your English learning journey. By the end of this episode, I want you not only to understand new English words, but also to understand yourself better. Because when you change your attitude, you change your direction. And when you change your direction, you change your life. So take a deep breath. Relax, and let's begin this journey together. What is attitude? Simple explanation. Now let's understand more deeply what attitude really means. This word is simple, but many people do not think about it carefully. If we want to improve our life and our English, we must first clearly understand this idea. So let me explain it in a very easy way. Attitude is the way we think and feel about something. It is our inner reaction. It is the meaning we give to a situation. When something happens, before we speak, before we act, there is a small thought inside our mind. That thought creates a feeling. That feeling creates an action. This whole process is called attitude. So attitude is not just a feeling. It is a combination of thoughts, feelings, and reactions. Another simple way to understand attitude is this. Attitude is how we choose to see a situation. The situation may be neutral. It may not be good or bad. But our mind gives it a label. Our mind says, "This is terrible," or "This is not so bad." That label changes our energy. That energy changes our behavior. Let's take a very simple example. Imagine it is a rainy day. You wake up in the morning and you see heavy rain outside. One person looks at the rain and says, "Oh no, this day is ruined. I hate rain. Everything will go wrong." This person feels angry or sad. Their energy becomes low. Maybe they complain all day. Maybe they lose motivation to work or study. Now imagine another person. This person also sees the same rain. But they say, "Okay, it's raining. That's fine. I will take an umbrella. Maybe I can enjoy the cool weather." This person feels calm. Maybe they enjoy the sound of the rain. Maybe they feel peaceful. The rain is the same. The weather is the same. But the attitude is different. And because the attitude is different, the experience is different. Let's take another example. Imagine you receive your exam results, and the score is lower than you expected. A negative attitude says, "I am stupid. I will never improve. I am not good enough." These thoughts create disappointment and shame. Because of these feelings, the person may stop trying. They may avoid studying. They may give up. But a positive attitude says, "I did not get the result I wanted. That is okay. I can study more. I can ask for help. I can improve." This person may still feel sad for a short time because that is normal. Positive attitude does not mean you never feel sad. It means you do not stay in sadness forever. You choose to move forward. The result is the same. But the future becomes different because the attitude is different. Now let's think about criticism. Imagine someone says, "Your English pronunciation is not clear." A negative attitude reacts like this. "They are attacking me. I feel embarrassed. I will stop speaking English." This reaction creates fear, and fear stops progress. But a positive attitude reacts differently. It says, "Maybe they are right. Maybe I can practice more. This is a chance to improve." This reaction creates growth. It creates action. It creates improvement. Do you see the pattern? Attitude does not change the past. It does not change the weather. It does not change the exam score immediately. But it changes your response, and your response changes your future. There are generally two main types of attitude: negative attitude and positive attitude. A negative attitude focuses on problems, limits, and fear. It often uses words like, "I can't," "It's impossible," "It's too hard," or "Why is this happening to me?" A positive attitude focuses on solutions, learning, and opportunity. It uses words like, "I will try," "I can learn," "What can I do next?" or "This is difficult, but I will not give up." This does not mean that a positive person is always happy. That is not realistic. Everyone feels tired sometimes. Everyone feels disappointed sometimes. The difference is how long they stay in that negative space. A person with a strong attitude allows themselves to feel emotions, but they do not let emotions control their whole life. Attitude is like a pair of glasses. Imagine you are wearing dark glasses. Everything looks dark. But if you change the glasses, the world looks brighter. The world did not change. The glasses changed. In the same way, when you change your attitude, your experience changes. Attitude is also a habit. Many people think attitude is something we are born with. That is not true. It is something we practice. If you always complain, complaining becomes your habit. If you always look for solutions, problem-solving becomes your habit. Over time, your attitude becomes your personality. So when we say attitude is everything, we do not mean that attitude magically solves all problems. We mean that attitude influences how we deal with problems. It influences our confidence. It influences our courage. It influences our relationships and our learning. In your English journey, attitude is especially important. If you say, English is too difficult, your brain stops trying. But if you say, English is challenging, but I can improve step by step, your brain stays open. It stays active. It keeps learning. So remember this simple definition. Attitude is the way you think and feel about something, and how you respond to it. It is your inner voice. It is your mental choice. And even when you cannot control the situation, you can always practice controlling your attitude. Understanding this deeply is the first step, because once you become aware of your attitude, you can start to change it. And when you change it, you slowly change your life. Why attitude is so powerful? Now let us talk about something very important. Why is attitude so powerful? Why do people say, attitude is everything? Is it just a nice sentence, or is it really true? To understand this, we need to see how attitude affects our daily life. When we look carefully, we will see that attitude influences our behavior, our decisions, our relationships, and even our success. First, attitude affects our behavior. Behavior means the way we act. It means what we do in different situations. Before every action, there is a thought, and that thought comes from our attitude. If your attitude is negative, your actions will also become negative. For example, if you believe, I am bad at English, you may avoid speaking. You may not raise your hand in class. You may not practice. Your belief creates fear. Fear creates silence. Silence stops improvement. But if your attitude is, my English is not perfect, but I can improve, your behavior changes. You speak more. You practice more. You accept mistakes. The attitude inside you changes the actions outside you. Attitude also affects our decisions. Every day we make many small decisions. Some decisions are simple, like what to eat. Others are more serious, like whether to continue studying or to give up. Our attitude guides these choices. If you have a negative attitude, you may choose the easier path. You may say, this is too hard, I will stop. But if you have a positive attitude, you may choose the harder path because you believe it will help you grow. You may say, yes, this is difficult, but I will learn something valuable. The same situation can lead to very different decisions depending on your attitude. Attitude also affects our relationships. Think about how you react when someone makes a mistake. If your attitude is impatient, you may become angry quickly. You may say hurtful words. This can damage your relationships. But if your attitude is understanding, you may respond calmly. You may listen first. You may forgive more easily. In this way, your attitude shapes the way people feel around you. People feel comfortable around someone who has a positive and respectful attitude. But they may feel stressed around someone who always complains or blames others. Now let us talk about success. Many people think success only depends on talent, intelligence, or luck. These things can help, but attitude plays a huge role. A positive attitude helps you continue when things are difficult. It helps you stand up after failure. It helps you stay patient. Success usually does not come quickly. It requires time, effort, and consistency. Without the right attitude, most people give up before they reach their goal. Let me give you a clear example. Imagine two students who fail an important exam. They both studied, They both hoped to pass, but when they see the result, they fail. The situation is exactly the same. The score is the same. The disappointment is the same. The first student says, "I knew it. I am not smart enough. This subject is not for me." This student feels embarrassed and hopeless. Because of this feeling, the student decides to stop trying. Maybe they skip classes. Maybe they avoid studying. Over time, their performance becomes worse. Finally, they quit completely. Their attitude created their decision, and their decision created their result. The second student also feels sad. That is normal. But this student says, "I failed. That hurts. But maybe I did not use the right study method. I will try again. I will ask the teacher for help." This student chooses to learn from the failure. They change their strategy. They study in a smarter way. They practice more. The next time, they pass the exam. The difference was not intelligence. The difference was not luck. The difference was attitude. This example shows a very important connection. Attitude shapes thoughts. Thoughts shape actions. Actions shape results. If you change your attitude, you change the first step in this chain. And when you change the first step, the final result can also change. Sometimes we think attitude is something small. But in reality, it is like the steering wheel of a car. A small movement of the steering wheel can change the direction of the whole car. In the same way, a small change in attitude can slowly change the direction of your life. This is especially true in learning English. Many learners say, "English is too difficult. I will never speak fluently." When they repeat this idea again and again, their brain believes it. Then they practice less. They avoid conversations. Their progress becomes slow. But learners who say, "English is challenging, but I will improve step by step," continue practicing. They make mistakes, but they keep going. After months or years, the results become very different. So attitude is powerful because it controls the beginning of every action. It influences how long we try. It influences how we react to failure. It influences whether we see problems as walls or as lessons. And in the end, these small daily reactions build our future. When you understand this deeply, you realize something important. You may not control every situation in your life. You may not control the weather, other people, or unexpected problems, but you can control your attitude. And when you control your attitude, you control your direction. That is why attitude is not just a word. It is not just motivation. It is a force that shapes behavior, decisions, relationships, and success. Same situation, different attitude, different result. And that is the real power of attitude. Real-life example story. Now I want to tell you a simple real-life style story. Stories help us understand ideas better. They help us feel the message, not only hear it. So listen carefully and imagine the scenes in your mind. This is a story about a student named Adam. Adam was an average student in school. He was not the best, and he was not the worst. He especially struggled with English. When the teacher asked him to speak in class, his heart started beating fast. His hands felt cold. He was afraid of making mistakes. One day, Adam had to give a short presentation in English. He practiced at home, but when he stood in front of the class, he forgot some words. He stopped in the middle of his speech. Some students laughed quietly. Adam felt embarrassed. His face became red. After that day, he felt very disappointed. That evening, Adam went home feeling heavy and sad. In his mind, he kept thinking, "I am bad at English. I cannot speak well. Everyone is better than me. For a few days, he avoided speaking in class. When the teacher asked questions, he looked down at his desk. His attitude became negative, and because of that attitude, his confidence became weaker. But something changed 1 week later. The teacher spoke to Adam after class. The teacher said, "Adam, I saw that you were nervous, but I also saw that you tried. That is important. Mistakes are part of learning. If you continue practicing, you will improve." These simple words made Adam think differently. That night, Adam asked himself a new question. Instead of asking, "Why am I so bad?" he asked, "What can I do to improve?" This small change in attitude became the turning point. He decided to practice speaking for 10 minutes every day. He watched simple English videos. He recorded his voice on his phone and listened to it. At first, it was uncomfortable, but he continued. After 1 month, he noticed small progress. He still made mistakes, but he did not stop. After 3 months, he felt more confident. When he gave another presentation, he was still a little nervous, but he did not give up. This time, he finished his speech. The class listened. Some students even clapped. Adam did not become perfect. He did not suddenly become the best speaker in the school. But his future changed because his attitude changed. Before, he believed he could not improve. Later, he believed he could grow step by step. The situation was difficult in both cases. But his reaction was different. And that reaction changed his direction. Now let me tell you a shorter example about a worker. Sarah worked in a small company. One day, her manager told her that her project was not good enough. She had two choices. She could say, "My manager does not like me. I will only do the minimum work." Or she could say, "This feedback hurts, but maybe I can learn something." Sarah chose the second attitude. She asked questions. She improved her skills. 1 year later, she received a promotion. The criticism did not destroy her. It helped her grow because she chose a strong attitude. We can also think about an athlete. Imagine a runner who trains for a competition but loses the race. One runner says, "I am not talented. I quit." Another runner says, "I lost today, but I will train harder." After 1 year, the second runner becomes stronger and faster. The difference again is attitude. These stories show something very clear. Difficulty is normal. Failure is normal. Criticism is normal. What is not fixed is our attitude. When we choose a negative attitude, we close the door to growth. When we choose a positive attitude, we open a new door. So remember Adam. Remember Sarah. Remember the runner. They all faced problems. They all felt disappointed, but their attitude decided their future. And the same is true for you. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Very simple version. Now, let us talk about another very important idea that is connected to attitude. It is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Do not worry about the word mindset. It simply means the way we think about our abilities and our potential. It is the belief we have about ourselves. A fixed mindset is when a person believes that their abilities cannot change. They think intelligence, talent, and skills are fixed. In other words, they believe, "This is how I am. I cannot improve." When someone with a fixed attitude faces a challenge, they often say, "I can't do this." If they fail, they think, "This proves I am not good enough." They see mistakes as proof of weakness. For example, imagine someone learning English. If they have a fixed mindset, they might say, "My pronunciation is bad. I will never sound good. Because they believe this, they stop practicing. They avoid speaking. They feel embarrassed easily. Their belief becomes their reality. Since they do not practice, they do not improve. And then they say, "See, I was right." But in truth, it was not their ability that stopped them. It was their attitude. Now, let us look at a growth mindset. A growth mindset is when a person believes that abilities can develop with effort and practice. They believe the brain can grow stronger, just like a muscle. When someone with a growth attitude faces a challenge, they say, "This is difficult, but I can learn this." If they fail, they think, "I did not succeed yet, but I can try again." They see mistakes as part of the learning process. Let us take the same example of learning English. A learner with a growth mindset might say, "My pronunciation is not clear right now, but if I practice every day, I will improve." This small word, "yet," is very powerful. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," they say, "I can't do this yet." That one word changes everything. It keeps hope alive. It keeps action moving. The most important thing to understand is that ability can grow. Science shows us that when we practice something again and again, our brain creates stronger connections. That means your English skills are not fixed. Your confidence is not fixed. Your speaking ability is not fixed. They can all improve with time and effort. But this improvement only happens if you believe it is possible. Many people are afraid of mistakes. They think mistakes mean failure. But mistakes are not failure. Mistakes are lessons. When a child learns to walk, they fall many times. But no one says, "This child is a failure." Falling is part of learning. In the same way, making grammar mistakes or pronunciation mistakes is part of learning English. Each mistake shows you what to improve. It gives you direction. A fixed mindset avoids challenges because it wants to look smart all the time. A growth mindset accepts challenges because it wants to become smarter over time. A fixed mindset says, "If I fail, people will judge me." A growth mindset says, "If I fail, I will learn something valuable." Think about your own life for a moment. When you face something difficult, what do you usually say to yourself? Do you say, "I am not good at this"? Or do you say, "I need more practice"? The first sentence closes the door. The second sentence opens it. Changing from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset does not happen in one day. It takes awareness and practice. But it starts with simple language. Instead of saying, "I can't," try saying, "I can't yet." Instead of saying, "I failed," try saying, "I am still learning." These small changes in words create big changes in attitude. So remember this: your ability is not a fixed number. It is not something written in stone. It is something that can grow. When you believe you can learn, you give yourself permission to improve. And when you see mistakes as lessons, you stop being afraid of them. This is the power of a growth attitude. It gives you courage to continue. It gives you patience to practice. And it gives you hope that tomorrow can be better than today. How attitude affects English learning. Now let us connect everything directly to you and your English learning journey. This part is very important because many of you are listening to this podcast to improve your English. You practice listening. You practice speaking. But sometimes the biggest problem is not grammar or vocabulary. The biggest problem is attitude. Many English learners are afraid of speaking. Maybe you understand a lot when you listen. Maybe you can read well. But when it is time to speak, you feel nervous. Your heart beats fast. You worry that people will laugh. You worry that your sentence is not correct. This fear is very common. Almost every learner feels it at some point. But here is the important question. What is your attitude toward this fear? If your attitude is negative, you might say, I am too shy. I cannot speak. My English is bad. Because you think like this, you speak less. When you speak less, you get less practice. When you get less practice, you improve slowly. Then you feel even more nervous. It becomes a circle. The fear creates silence, and the silence keeps the fear alive. But if your attitude is positive, you might say, yes, I am nervous, but that is normal. I am learning. I will speak anyway. This attitude changes your action. You speak even if your voice shakes a little. You accept that your sentences may not be perfect. Slowly, your confidence grows. The fear becomes smaller because you face it. Another common problem is the fear of mistakes. Many learners think mistakes are something terrible. They want to speak perfectly. They want perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, perfect vocabulary. But perfection is not the goal of learning. Progress is the goal. If your attitude says, I must be perfect, you will feel stressed. You may stop speaking because you are waiting to become perfect first. But perfection never comes before practice. A healthy attitude says, mistakes are part of learning. Every mistake shows you something new. If you say a wrong word and someone corrects you, now you know the right word. That is progress. If you pronounce something incorrectly and you learn the correct sound, that is improvement. Mistakes are not enemies. They are teachers. Another problem many learners face is comparing themselves to others. You may look at someone who speaks English fluently and think, wow, I will never speak like that. You may feel small or discouraged, but comparison can be dangerous if your attitude is negative. Everyone has a different starting point. Everyone has a different speed. Maybe that person has been studying for 10 years. Maybe they live in an English-speaking country. You cannot compare your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 10. A positive attitude says, I will compare myself to my past self. Ask yourself, am I better than I was 3 months ago? If the answer is yes, even a little, that means you are growing. Focus on your own journey. Focus on daily improvement. So what does a strong and positive attitude look like in English learning? It means you practice daily, even if it is only 10 or 15 minutes. It means you speak even when you are not fully confident. It means you accept corrections without feeling ashamed. It means you are patient with yourself. Language learning takes time. It is not something you master in 1 month. Sometimes you will feel progress. Sometimes you will feel stuck. During those slow times, your attitude becomes even more important. If you say, this is useless, I am not improving, you may quit. But if you say, progress is slow, but I will continue, you stay on the path. Remember, English is not only about vocabulary and grammar rules, it is also about mindset. If you believe you can improve, you will act in a way that supports improvement. If you believe you cannot improve, your actions will stop you. So from today, try to change the way you speak to yourself. Instead of saying, my English is bad, say, my English is improving. Instead of saying, I am afraid to speak, say, I am learning to be confident. These small changes in attitude will slowly change your experience. Your attitude is your silent partner in your English journey. If you choose a strong and patient attitude, it will support you every single day. How to build a strong, positive attitude. Now that we understand how powerful attitude is, the next important question is this: how can we build a strong and positive attitude? Many people think attitude is something we are born with. They think some people are naturally positive and some are naturally negative. But that is not completely true. Attitude is something we can practice. It is something we can train, just like a muscle. And in this part, I want to give you clear and practical steps that you can start using today. The first step is to control your thoughts. Everything begins in the mind. Before you speak, before you act, there is always a thought. Many of these thoughts are automatic. They come quickly and we do not always notice them. But if you want a positive attitude, you must start observing your thoughts. When something goes wrong, listen to what you say inside your head. Do you say, "This is terrible. I can't handle this"? Or do you say, "This is difficult, but I will try to solve it"? The situation may be the same, but the thought changes your energy. You may not control the first negative thought, but you can control the second one. You can replace a negative thought with a stronger one. This takes practice, but over time, it becomes easier. The second step is to stop negative self-talk. Self-talk means the way you speak to yourself in your mind. Some people are very kind to others, but very harsh to themselves. They say things like, "I am stupid," "I always fail," or "I am not good enough." Imagine if someone spoke to your friend like that. You would probably defend your friend. So why speak to yourself in that way? A strong positive attitude begins with respectful self-talk. Instead of saying, "I am bad at this," say, "I am still learning." Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "Sometimes I fail, but I can improve." The words you use inside your mind shape your confidence. The third step is to focus on solutions instead of problems. Problems are a part of life. You cannot avoid them completely, but you can choose where to put your attention. If you focus only on the problem, you may feel stuck. You may complain again and again. But complaining does not change the situation. When you focus on solutions, your brain becomes active. It starts looking for answers. For example, if your English speaking is weak, you can complain and say, "This is too hard." Or you can ask, "What can I do today to improve?" Maybe you can practice for 10 minutes. Maybe you can watch a short video. Maybe you can speak with a friend. Even small actions create movement. The fourth step is to choose your reaction. This is very important. You cannot control everything that happens to you. People may criticize you. Plans may fail. Unexpected problems may appear. But between what happens and how you react, there is a small space. In that space, you have a choice. You can react with anger, fear, or negativity. Or you can react with calmness and strength. This does not mean you ignore your feelings. It means you do not let your feelings control your actions. When something negative happens, take a deep breath. Pause for a moment, then decide your response carefully. This small pause can protect your attitude. The fifth step is to practice gratitude. Gratitude means being thankful for what you have. Many times, we focus only on what is missing. We think about what we do not have, what we cannot do, or what we have not achieved yet. But when you practice gratitude, you train your mind to see the good things in your life. Every day, you can ask yourself, "What are 3 things I am thankful for today?" They do not have to be big things. Maybe you are thankful for your health. Maybe for your family. Maybe for the chance to learn English. Gratitude does not remove problems, but it balances your perspective. It reminds you that life is not only difficulty. The sixth step is to surround yourself with positive people. The people around you influence your attitude more than you think. If you spend time with people who always complain, criticize, and speak negatively, it becomes easy to think the same way. But if you spend time with people who encourage you, support you, and believe in growth, your mindset becomes stronger. This does not mean you avoid anyone who has problems. It simply means you choose carefully who influences your daily thinking. Even listening to positive podcasts or reading inspiring books can help you build a better mental environment. Building a strong positive attitude does not happen overnight. It is not something you do once and forget. It is a daily practice. Some days you will feel strong and confident. Other days you may feel tired or discouraged. That is normal. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to continue practicing these steps again and again. When you control your thoughts, improve your self-talk, focus on solutions, choose your reactions carefully, practice gratitude, and surround yourself with supportive people, you slowly build mental strength. And this mental strength will support you in every area of life, especially in your English learning journey. Remember, attitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about believing that you can grow, even when things are not perfect. And the beautiful thing is this: you have the power to build this attitude step by step, starting today. Attitude during difficult times. Now let us talk about something very real. It is easy to speak about positive attitude when everything is going well. It is easy to smile when life is comfortable. But what about difficult times? What about failure, loss, disappointment, or stress? This is where attitude becomes truly important. First, we need to understand something clearly. Problems are normal. Difficulties are a part of life. No one has a perfect life. Every person you see has challenges, even if you do not see them. Some problems are small, like a bad day at work. Some problems are bigger, like losing a job, failing an important exam, or facing family issues. Challenges are not a sign that you are weak. They are a normal part of the human experience. Pain is also normal. When something bad happens, it is natural to feel sad, angry, frustrated, or disappointed. Having a positive attitude does not mean you never feel negative emotions. It does not mean you pretend to be happy when you are hurt. That is not healthy. Real strength is not about hiding pain. Real strength is about facing pain honestly and still choosing to move forward. Sometimes people misunderstand positive attitude. They think it means smiling all the time. They think it means saying, "Everything is fine," even when it is not. But that is fake happiness. And fake happiness does not solve problems. A strong attitude means you accept reality. You say, "This situation is difficult. I feel hurt. I feel tired." You allow yourself to feel these emotions. But after that, you ask yourself, what is the next step? The important thing is not whether you fall down. The important thing is how long you stay down. When something painful happens, you may need time to recover. That is okay. Give yourself time. But do not stay in that negative space forever. Do not let one bad moment define your whole life. Imagine someone who loses a job. At first, they feel shocked and worried. They may feel afraid about the future. That reaction is normal. But after some time, they have a choice. They can say, "My life is finished. I am a failure." Or they can say, This is a hard situation, but maybe this is a chance to learn new skills or find a better opportunity. The problem is the same, but the attitude creates two different futures. Difficult times are like tests. They show us what we truly believe about ourselves. When everything is easy, we do not see our real strength. But when life becomes hard, we discover our inner power. Strength is built during hard times, not during comfortable times. Just like muscles grow when we lift heavy weights, our mental strength grows when we face challenges. Think about your English learning journey again. Maybe you studied for months, but your progress feels slow. Maybe you tried to speak and someone laughed. Maybe you failed an important test. In those moments, it is easy to say, "I quit." But if you continue, even when it is hard, you build something very powerful inside yourself. You build resilience. Resilience means the ability to recover and continue after difficulty. During hard times, your attitude becomes your guide. It reminds you that this moment is not permanent. It reminds you that feelings change. It reminds you that you survived other difficult times before, and you can survive this one too. When you look back at your life, you may notice something interesting. The moments that helped you grow the most were probably the difficult ones. A positive attitude during difficult times does not remove pain immediately. It does not solve everything in one day, but it gives you hope. It gives you direction. It gives you the courage to take one small step forward, even when you feel weak. Sometimes the only positive action you can take is very small. Maybe it is just getting out of bed. Maybe it is sending one job application. Maybe it is studying English for 5 minutes instead of 30. That is enough. Progress during hard times is often slow, but it is still progress. Remember this: storms do not last forever. Dark nights are followed by morning. If you keep walking, even slowly, you will eventually see light again. Your attitude is like a small lamp in the darkness. It may not remove the night, but it helps you see the next step. So when life becomes difficult, do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask, "What can this teach me?" That question changes your perspective. It changes your energy. It changes your future. Difficult times are not the end of your story. They are a chapter. And your attitude decides how that chapter will influence the rest of your life. If you choose strength, patience, and hope, you will come out of the difficulty stronger than before. That is the true meaning of positive attitude during hard times. Not fake happiness, not denial, but courage, honesty, and the decision to rise again. Reflection. Questions for you. Now I would like you to slow down for a moment. Until now, you have been listening to me. You have heard ideas, examples, and stories. But real learning happens when you start thinking for yourself. This part is very important because it is not only about understanding English, it is about understanding your own attitude. So I am going to ask you some reflection questions. These are not yes or no questions. These questions need longer answers. I want you to pause the podcast after each question and answer out loud. Yes, out loud. Speaking your thoughts will help you practice English and also organize your ideas clearly. Let us begin with the first question. How do you usually react when something goes wrong in your life? Think about a recent situation. Maybe something small, like missing a bus. Maybe something bigger, like failing a test or making a mistake at work. When that happened, What was your first reaction? Did you become angry? Did you blame yourself? Did you blame someone else? Or did you stay calm and look for a solution? Be honest with yourself. There is no right or wrong answer here. The goal is awareness. When you understand your usual reaction, you can start changing it. Now pause for a moment and answer this question aloud. Try to speak in full sentences. For example, you can say, "When something goes wrong, I usually feel frustrated. I sometimes complain. I do not always look for a solution immediately." Or you can say, "I try to stay calm, but sometimes I overthink." Speak slowly and clearly. This is your speaking practice. Here is the second question. Do you give up easily when things become difficult? Think about your past experiences. When you faced a challenge, did you continue trying, or did you stop quickly? Maybe in English learning, maybe in sports, maybe in personal goals. Ask yourself honestly, do I stop when it becomes uncomfortable? Or do I push myself a little more? Again, there is no judgment. This is about understanding your pattern. Pause again and answer. You can say something like, "Sometimes I give up when I feel tired. I lose motivation quickly." Or you might say, "I usually continue, but I need encouragement." The more clearly you speak about your habits, the more clearly you will see them. Now, let me ask you another important question. What situation in your life right now needs a better attitude? This is a very powerful question. Maybe there is something that makes you feel stressed. Maybe you complain about it often. Maybe you avoid it. It could be your English speaking. It could be your job. It could be a relationship. What area of your life would improve if you changed your attitude? Think carefully. If you changed your thinking about that situation, how would your behavior change? What action would you take? What small step could you start today? Speak your answer aloud. For example, you might say, "I need a better attitude toward my English speaking. I am too afraid of mistakes. I will try to speak more, even if I am not perfect." Or, "I need a better attitude at work. I complain too much. I will try to focus on solutions." Reflection questions are powerful because they make you responsible for your growth. It is easy to listen and agree. It is harder to look inside and accept your weaknesses. But this is where real change begins. When you admit, "Yes, sometimes my attitude is negative," you also give yourself the power to improve it. Let me ask one more question. When you imagine your future self, what kind of attitude does that person have? Imagine yourself 5 years from now, stronger, more confident, maybe speaking English fluently. How does that future version of you react to problems? Do they panic easily? Or do they stay calm and think clearly? Try to describe that future attitude aloud. This exercise helps you create a direction. It shows you who you want to become. As you answer these questions, remember that change does not happen in one day. But awareness is the first step. When you start noticing your reactions, you can slowly adjust them. Each time something goes wrong, you can remember this conversation and ask yourself, "What attitude am I choosing right now?" Speaking your answers aloud is also powerful for your English practice. You are not only learning vocabulary, you are expressing personal thoughts. That builds confidence. It trains your brain to think in English. Even if your sentences are not perfect, that is okay. What matters is that you speak. So take your time with these questions. Pause the podcast. Reflect deeply. Speak honestly. Your attitude shapes your life, but only if you become aware of it. And today, by answering these questions, you are already taking a step toward a stronger and more positive attitude. As we come to the end of this episode, I want you to take a slow and deep breath. We have talked about many ideas today. We spoke about what attitude means. We explored why it is powerful. We looked at real-life examples. We discussed fixed and growth mindsets. We connected everything to your English learning. And we reflected on your personal reactions. Now let us bring all of this together in one simple and powerful message. Life is not always easy. That is the truth. There will be days when things go wrong. There will be moments when you feel tired, disappointed, or confused. Sometimes you will work hard and still not get the result you want. Sometimes people will misunderstand you. Sometimes you will fail. These moments are part of being human. No one escapes them. There are many things in life that we cannot control. We cannot control the weather. We cannot control other people's opinions. We cannot control every situation that happens to us. We cannot control the past. And sometimes, we cannot even control the immediate outcome of our efforts. But there is one thing that always remains in our hands. That one thing is our attitude. Your attitude is your personal power. It is the space between what happens to you and how you respond. In that space, you make a choice. You choose whether to give up or to try again. You choose whether to complain or to look for a solution. You choose whether to speak kindly to yourself or to criticize yourself. These small daily choices may seem simple, but over time they create your character, and your character shapes your future. A strong attitude does not mean you never feel sad. It does not mean you never feel afraid. It means that even when you feel these emotions, you decide not to stay stuck in them. It means you allow yourself to feel, but you also allow yourself to grow. It means you believe that every challenge carries a lesson. It means you trust that effort will bring improvement, even if progress is slow. Think about your English journey again. Maybe today your speaking is not perfect. Maybe you still make grammar mistakes. That is okay. What matters is not where you are today. What matters is your attitude toward tomorrow. If you continue practicing, if you continue believing, if you continue learning from mistakes, you will improve. Slowly, step by step. Remember this simple truth. Your attitude shapes your direction, and your direction shapes your destination. When you choose courage over fear, patience over frustration, and growth over comfort, you slowly build a stronger version of yourself. So as you finish listening to this episode, I want you to carry this sentence with you. You may not control the situation, but you always control your attitude. Say it again in your mind. Let it stay with you during difficult moments. Let it guide you when you feel discouraged. And before we close, I have a small call to action for you. Today, choose one situation in your life where you will practice a better attitude. It can be something small. Maybe your English practice, maybe your work, maybe a conversation with someone. Make a simple decision. In this situation, I will respond with strength and patience. Then act on it. If this episode helped you, please share it with a friend who is also learning English. And do not forget to continue practicing your listening and speaking with Code Your English. The more you practice, the more confident you become. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing a powerful attitude. I will see you in the next episode.